Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special spoiler review episode of Wakanda Forever, the film that is out now from RYAN COOGLER, starring Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Tenoch Huerta, and a host of other fantastic actors who are coming back and being introduced into the MCU for the first time. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha, and I want to sit down and talk about this film with two of my best friends here. First of all, Mr. Jay Washington. How are you, Jay?
Me and my shoulders, thank you for having us today.
Looking swole, son.
Just out here putting in work. I felt like if I can't be a member of the Jabari officially, I'll do it, I'll live vicariously here in this moment.
I keep waiting for him to jump into M'Baku speak right then. The Fishman. Chris Burns, how are you, man? How are things?
I'm good. It was a long flight from Wakanda, but, they got these jets that move really fast. They're advanced and whatnot. So it was a cool flight. It was a cool flight.
Yeah, and both of you were at the premiere for the movie in LA. Chris was all decked out. Jay was looking great in his all white ensemble, which of course
they told me to wear all white. Okay, they said, hey, look, it's ceremony. You wear all white. I was gonna say ordered everything white. Okay,
it came into play in the opening scene of the movie, so I was like, I get it. I totally get it. So we're gonna break this whole thing down. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the movie, this is where you stop. Go see the movie. Come on back and hang out with us as we discuss it. We're going to try to do this 60 to 90 minutes, somewhere like that in this conversation, and try to talk about as much of the stuff in the film as we can. But first, I'd like to start by asking both of these gentlemen what their overall thoughts are with the film. Chris, I'll start with you. Overall thoughts on Wakanda Forever here, the sequel that we've been waiting for quite some time and had to go through some production delays, COVID delays, and of course, the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman. So what are your overall thoughts on the film now as you've had a few days to reflect on it?
I mean, still honestly blown away. Blown away by everything I saw. I echo a lot of what I heard Kevin Feige say about the movie, in that it's being probably one of the most important MCU films that they've ever made. And you get it almost instantly. Like, tonally, this phase of Marvel has kind of been all over the place as far as She-Hulk and Thor Love and Thunder and the various movies that they've had up to this point, Doctor Strange 2, etc. But this was a serious return to form of that prestige MCU film. I felt like just the way that they had a massive task to deal with. Not only the absence and the tragic circumstances of your lead star going away, but how do you reconcile that story-wise? You know what I mean? And because these things are all connected and they have implications that reach much farther than the movie that it's contained in. Yeah. So you had a lot of heavy lifting to do, and I just thought they handled it expertly. Okay. Just like every note you wanted it to hit, it hit. Action-wise, it hit. Emotionality, totally hit. Reverence and respect to who we lost and how we lost him, hit that perfectly too. Even dealt with the way, people who were detractors of, you need to recast T'Challa. You can't just, let the character die. They even handled that, I thought, beautifully, which we'll get into. So just like overall, I was just impressed. I was just thoroughly impressed with how they were able to take such a daunting task and just kind of be like, this is how you do it.
Jay Washington, your thoughts on the film overall yourself, having had a few days to reflect on it as well?
Damn near everything Chris said, I kind of can echo. Because I tell everybody coming out the movie, I said, this ain't a spoiler. This is just going to let you know. They get it out the way. Like I said, they get it out the way.
Yeah.
Because we knew we had to deal with the death of the king. Right? And in the first 10 minutes, here go. Because it's the best thing to do. Because there is no point of putting that he might die in the middle of the movie. Because now we got to watch a movie and be like, when are y'all going to hit us with this? This did everything it was supposed to, because it still felt like the first movie too. It had all those same beats the first movie had. It amplified the emotion and even let the humor play a little more with the people who've always given you the humor. Again, the door, when you have Danai Gurira as the Dora Milaje general, but she's still humorous no matter what.
Yeah.
You get that. You got Winston Duke still being Winston Duke, being M'Baku the way M'Baku is. still doing all that. You get Everett Ross being Everett Ross the way he was supposed to be used.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm here. I got y'all back. But somebody else screwed me over. Who screwed me over? My ex-bitch. Who's my ex-bitch? The Contessa. What? And it works, though. To bring Julia Louis-Dreyfus into this fold for this movie, her character, and knowing we got the Thunderbolts and what they are, it works. Namor, not Namor, Namor, and the reason you find out, when I tell you that man is a, look, we all believed in, look, when they finally did live action, he was going to be dope.
Yeah.
We never thought that the way they was going to put what you saw on that screen with dude,
Yeah.
you were like, holy shit. Like, pardon the expression, that was the only way you could say it, because there are scenes, and we'll get further in depth, where he literally comes out the water, flicks his hair, walks up on Angela Bassett, tell anybody about me if you want to. I'll kill you.
Yeah.
No, it's not a game. And then just disappears. Like, I'm really what I do. And even the Tolokan citizens, not Atlanteans,
right?
These monks got a siren song making people commit suicide. But overall, there's so much, and like I said, we'll go into different points.
Yeah,
this movie hit every note it needed to hit. And again, people are gonna keep going. There are gonna be people who are gonna go, "Oh, well, it should have had T'Challa." Blah 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 blah. First of all, I get why you keep saying that, but this movie did the same thing that the first one did: put black women on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The first one did it, and this one continued it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, Jay. It's very much a matriarchy throughout this movie, and it kind of sneaks up on you as you're watching it, because it didn't hit me till about halfway through. I was like, oh, wow, this is like really about his passing and trying to move on through all these powerful women's eyes that he had in his life. And that's something new that we haven't seen in the MCU to this point. And I thought that was really incredible as well. Yeah, I love the movie, the way it dealt with loss and grief and anger and frustration and feelings of unfairness, and then eventually acceptance and what that means and what it takes to get to that point and what you have to endure and go through and why it's important. Because, and I go to that scene, and this is a spoiler review, so we're going to talk about stuff. I go to that scene where Namor, as you say, confronts Shuri about what she said on the shore to her mother. You said you wanted to set the world on fire. Let's set the world on fire together. Mm-hmm. Just kind of calling her out, being like, I'm ready to do this. Let's do this together. And her having to confront that within herself, her desire to do that, and why reflected back at her, it wasn't the way to go, which she realized later on. And then, of course, her conversations with Killmonger there in the astral plane.
Yes. Killmonger is back. I don't know why didn't nobody think that was going to happen. I don't like you without even spoilers. That was the one everybody's like, well, they should be bringing Michael B. Jordan back. It's kind of proof that he would come back one way. He would come back in the ancestral. Like he was a Black Panther. Even though it was the Golden Jaguar armor, he was still a Black Panther. So he will come back.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the film here. As we said, we fantastic production team involved here. Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole wrote it. Autumn Dorald Arcopal did the cinematography. Hannah Beachler with the production design. Ludwig Göransson, who did The Mandalorian, did the first Black Panther, Community, Creed, Venom, a varied list of things, brings another incredible score here. Ruthie Carter's costumes are out of this world. They might have well just engraved the Oscar now to her yet again for this film. And as we said, so many fantastic actors returning, but new actors. Tenoch Huerta here as Namor. You got Dominique Thorne here as Riri Williams. Florence Kasumba is back again as Ayo, but Michaela Cole is introduced. Ayo. And then Aneka, is that how it is? Or Aneka with Michaela Cole?
I think it's you talking about the
character's name.
I don't remember that.
Okay, I don't want to say
they never said her. They never said her actual name. If you think about it, in the whole movie, it's just like they never say her name directly.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Chris, I'll swing back to you. Did the story work for you? You know, we dealt with vibranium here. It was that vibranium was being found underwater. They were using what we find out later, Riri Williams' device to find this vibranium because, in essence, dealing with the images of colonialism here, you had the Americans being upset that a country had a power, had a resource that they were using to, in essence, maybe kind of shift the power dynamic of the world in their favor. So the Americans wanted to get that vibranium. We see that the Kulkan people there absolutely go after it and kill everybody on that ship and get it. But that's what leads to everything here. Namor goes to Queen Rhonda and Shuri and says, we got to band together against the colonizers, in essence, that she joked about in the last movie here, and stop them from getting this, because if they get us, they're going to enslave everybody and destroy everybody. And it's not like historically he's wrong, which I thought was great when we see going back through time in the flashback, we see what his experience was when he came back on shore after he was born underwater to see what they were doing to his people. So you see the motivation here, but eventually Shuri doesn't give in, doesn't jump into the alliance. So Namor attacks Wakanda, and it ends up in a fight between the two of them where she outsmarts him along with Riri's help and gets the best of him. So what are your thoughts overall on the story here as we progress through the loss and grief and then acceptance, but also having to fight this, in essence, this new foe who's got some connections with Killmonger in his approaches and his points of view?
I mean, to me, it was like so somewhat meta, where it's like the idea of exactly what fans were talking about in regards to this movie. There's so much to process with this massive loss that we've all had to deal with.
Yeah.
But outside of that, life goes on and conflict still happens. And you have to address it some kind of way, because the rest of the outside world doesn't care what you're going through. You know what I mean? They don't care.
Got their own needs. Yeah.
You got something that we want. You have resources that we want. We've been trying to get. Your king said that he was going to start sharing it. He gone. You don't want to give it to us. We done found some more under the water. We gonna go take it. Holy shit. It's a fish man with wings that don't appreciate us trying to take it from the water. And he gonna defend it with extreme fucking prejudice. You know what I'm saying? I just love that push-pull amongst almost all the characters, right? It's like, even with Shuri's whole thing is, the old ways, the traditions, who cares about that stuff? Right. It's about science. It's about technology. It's about moving forward. Why do I got to care so much about this herb? And the Black Panther is an outdated concept in her mind. Yeah. We don't need the Black Panther to defend Wakanda. And her mom's coming from the other side. Like, well, the traditions is what keeps us who we are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though the first movie was about T'Challa not being so slavish to the old ways and opening up Wakanda to the rest of the world. So, there's that conflict. Then there's the, peaceful sort of parlaying with the outside world versus, but they want our shit. And how do we, defend
as we see with the French situation there, them breaking in and trying to take the vibranium there as well, while Queen is at the UN, right?
When she was like, okay, so here's the deal. I'm keeping vibranium from y'all. But since you want to fuck around and find out, bring them in. These your mans. I'm gonna show the world their faces. Yeah. She said the next time you do it, it's an act of war.
Yeah.
Do you understand how calm she just was? Was like, I keep telling y'all, we good. I know what my son said, but we also know how y'all are.
Right.
So you want to play this game? Come again. And even with Namor, however you want to pronounce it, because various people are going to say it different ways.
Yeah.
He still was like, yo, we need to come together to stop them. But don't you tell a goddamn soul like this. Like, how did you put that deal in somebody's hand? Yeah. You need me right now. However, don't you tell. And had them so spooked. Do y'all not recall through the movie how spooked you had Okoye be like, I can't really tell you, but listen, it's some.
Because up to that point, had nobody just walked on the Wakandan soil just like GP, like, oh, by the way, we've been here and could attack you at any time, like, you know.
Dude, even Ramona was like, told everyone, it's some shit. But look, like, when you have it where you realize like you said, no one has ever just come on the borders.
Yeah.
Because again, the water is everywhere. So wherever you think, okay, cool, you have this dome, you have this shield, but it's not underwater. And then to find out, just like we think about the Big Bang and everything, the legend of what Wakanda is founded on. A giant meteorite full of vibranium came to Earth and hit in this one place. And from this one place, vibranium spouted. And then realized it wasn't one meteor. It was multiple.
Yeah.
And so now what this also does is it opens the door to say that there was another meteor somewhere and somebody refined it to a point it became another element. What's the other element you now refined it into? Adamantium.
Right. Good point.
You can play that game with it.
Yeah, for sure. Jay, I'll swing back to you. What are your thoughts on the story overall? And let's get into the acting. What did you think about the acting overall as well? And I'll swing back to Chris after that. Yeah.
The story overall, again, Chris, you said it best. Life goes on.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Yes. Has phase 4 been seemingly all over the place? It has, but it's all had one common key theme. You know what that is? Grief.
Yeah, grief. Yeah.
Trauma. Grief. Yeah. Grief. And how do we deal with grief? How do we move forward? Everybody has had to deal with some type of grief. And of course, it's been from the snapping. I'm not calling it that other word, but
the snapping. Okay.
I'm calling it the snapping, not the other thing. I will never call it the other, but it's from that. Yeah. You had Wanda with her loss of vision. You have everybody dealing with loss different ways. Yeah. The Wakandans have to deal with losing their king. Shuri, listen, Letitia Wright has one of the greatest performances I've ever seen her do because they put her through the ringer in this movie.
She carries this film. A lot of it is on her shoulders.
It is on her show, and you feel it with her.
Yeah.
Dominique Thorne is all of 4'7", and we see she is all of 4'7". How do you know she's 4'7"? Because Letitia Wright ain't tall at all. And she towers over her.
Yeah.
You even have, again, Namora, Atumna.
Yeah.
Though them three in itself, the acting on every level to this, there were all these moving parts that stayed moving.
Mm-hmm.
And even again, while the story was still, the world is dealing with the loss of the king, but the world still goes on. We've seen throughout the MCU, even in the past 5 years when people were gone, the world kept going.
Yeah. And another thing to look at this through a certain prism is we've seen this before in other situations in real life. Sometimes I was doing some research on this, and it's like, when fathers of companies who started these companies pass away and they pass it on to the kids, 70% of them go under. This idea that when the head is removed, what happens? You can go all the way to Shakespeare, Henry V, right? Henry V, fantastic king, learned what he needed to learn, put away his old days to become a king, embrace it. He wins the war with France there at Agincourt and becomes king, but he dies almost a couple of years after that. And the kingdom is frittered away because no one is there strong enough to take over. So this is what Ramonda was afraid of, this idea that there wouldn't be someone to carry on the legacy. And she's trying so hard to convince Shuri to accept the old ways and be okay and keep going with the new ways. It's finding that balance is what she's trying to encourage her to do. And that's a thing that carries through the movie, just like T'Chaka did that for T'Challa, trying to guide him in that way as well, which I think is so powerful throughout the movie. Chris, what'd you think of the acting? What stood out to you in terms of the overall performances and what's your feelings on it all?
Well, just how I hate having to keep bringing it back to the loss of Chadwick, but it's like with that void came now everyone else gets to breathe in a way that I don't think we got to really see in the first Black Panther. I mean, are we forgetting about Angela Bassett in this movie? I mean, you want to talk about
Black Mama energy?
Cool. What's love got to do with it? Tina Turner, just angst and anger and wrath and pain. You know what I mean? In every scene, even just like the less like I would say abrasive moments where she goes and confronts Lupita later in the movie about having been gone for 7 years and how it's. They're just sharing kind of a quiet moment. Yeah. But it's so pregnant with nuance and feeling and just like heart of like, why did you leave us? You know what I mean? Right. We're all dealing with this thing and you weren't even there to grieve with us. You know what I'm saying? You just took the hell off. And then, we see why that happened later. But just that little scene that they share is just so powerful. And then, like you said, before that, in the United Nations scenes when she gave the fuck around and find out speech.
Yeah.
And then when she had to confront the
Okoye.
Okoye,
That's
When she had the bro.
Listen, last time I didn't step up. Y'all motherfuckers let Killmonger up in here, and he took the kingdom in a whole direction that ain't nobody wanted to go to. And then I said, watch after my daughter, and now you done lost the bitch. And so now
it was even worse. You got to include a small little S's on it, bro. Excuse me, let me interrupt. When she told her, you stood by him while he took this kingdom.
Yeah.
She tells Okoye to her face, you stood by him.
Right.
And I told you to watch my daughter. That's when she gave us that speech. I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything? But we needed that for one thing to happen, to get the Midnight Angels.
Yeah.
We needed that to happen.
But
I mean, even though that was all black mama energy.
Everything fits into place so well. Everything is, like I said, it's that meta push and pull. Life goes on. We've suffered this loss, but just everything, the reason for the conflict, everyone has a point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The best conflicts come in fiction, at least, or when all the principles have sort of a claim to what's going on. You sympathize with where everybody's coming from. You know what I mean? Especially Namor, who is just like, I've been chilling. Y'all done brought this bullshit to my doorstep. I ain't trying to flex on y'all like that. But if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And that's you know what I mean? That's how he lives. So he's been ready for a minute.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want none of this, but if it escalates, I'm gonna handle it.
The wings are coming out. If it escalates, the wings are coming out on my feet. That's for sure. No, you're right. Absolutely. Angela Bassett, so fantastic. Love that scene with her and Okoye, the back and forth there. Because you're like on Okoye's side. You're like, no, don't do this. And then when Ramonda reminds you of what she did in Black Panther, you're like, damn.
You got a point.
You got a point. Right.
Yeah.
You got a point.
And then remember, if you look at the history, T'Challa died twice in front of her. Right? Because once when he went to the, as Jay says, the blippening, I don't know what you call it, but and then again with this mysterious disease. The snapping. The snapping. That's and then the mysterious disease as well. So twice he has died on her watch in essence. And so that carrying that weight of hers, and then waiting later until you bring in Nakia and what she's been doing, and she chose to deal with grief in her way, which is to stay away. And you're right, Jay, we find out why, but also it was convenient for her because she did not want to be there either, to be washed in all that grief as well. And then Letitia Wright, Shuri, her taking on the guilt that all her technology, all her knowledge wasn't enough to save her brother, right? That's classic hero shit. I had all these powers, but I couldn't save my Uncle Ben. I had all these powers, but I couldn't save Lois initially, so I had to go spin the world back around so she could come back to life. These ideas of power not always being able to help you save the ones you love the most, who are closest to you. So and then of course Queen Ramonda losing her dad and her son and saying that, have I not given enough? So there's so much to see through their losses. And even M'Baku, whose sharp edges in the first movie are somewhat smoothed down in this movie. He's much more, even though he's giving shit to Okoye, and he's angry about the fact that they gave it up to the water man or whatever he calls him.
This is what you people do. This is what you people do. We're just sitting around looking at everybody,
Yeah, but when he goes to see Shuri after she's lost her mom, he says, "You are no longer a child. You've suffered too much loss, and I give you the respect. And your brother told me to watch over you." So there's that even the trauma of T'Challa's death affects him in how he's treating everybody and changing how he focuses on things. And so all of it works so well to carry through the whole movie with all these storylines. For sure.
If I may, real quick, Drew, when the first time we're introduced to Namor, right? When you have after this, because again, in various African cultures, there are ceremonies, and again, the burning of the funeral garb, and Shuri being like, no. Because for her, it's real.
Yeah, it's the
once you burn it, that's it.
Yeah.
Again, Ramonda understands. Look, I've lost a lot. I've been around. This is what we do. Shuri's like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And when Namor walks up to him and he starts talking about vibranium, and she like, "What you know about vibranium?" And Shuri was like, Mama, he is covered in this shit right now. He is covered in it. But again, that plays into with Shuri learning about learning about Tolakan, which again, much respect to the production design, the art team, and everything. They made that underwater city look beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it looked real.
Yeah.
It didn't look like, oh, this is just a computer generator. You're like, if I dive real deep in a James Cameron tube, am I gonna find this? Like, that's how you feel. But when you realize, okay, all of his clothes, his fibers are woven with vibranium and all of the like fibers from the plants that have grown, because again, she didn't get it that it was vibranium that was growing in the soil, which is why the hemp, the threads and everything. She was like, wait, does this work? And that's how she figures out what to do to get the artificial heart-shaped herb.
So let's wrap up the Shuri stuff. And Jay, I'll go back to you. She becomes Black Panther. So do we believe the progression in the way the story beats have been laid out in the film? Did you feel it was organic? Did you feel it was right? Did it make sense? And when she became a Black Panther the way that she did, which was half Killmonger, half Black Panther, and the colors were very reminiscent of the Killmonger colors of her outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you believe this? And did you like in the end that she did become the Black Panther and had the fight with Namor and made him yield?
First of all, made him yield. She cut off this nigga's wing off his ankle. I was like, "Oh!"
That was rough.
But she earned it because we all knew she was getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew she was going to be the one. Again, comic books tell us, if you saw the initial posters with her with the guard with the decorations on her face were the same things as the helmet, so we knew. But it was not where it was just your brother's passed. You have the mantle now,
right? She had to choose it. She had to make the effort to become Black Panther,
and she didn't want it.
Yeah,
she didn't want it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She earned. This was an organic earning. This was like, you have to realize it is meant for you to have this, but she didn't want to accept that. Again, it was too much. I couldn't save my brother. How can I be the savior and protector of my entire country? Yeah. I don't want this. I'm not smart enough. And you got Riri trying to convince her, like, you can. And she's still like, no.
Yeah. And
it's not until Namor does this one thing where, again, we talk about, look, this movie was full of fuck around to find out. And Namor had the one scene that changed everything for her.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Chris, what do you think about the progression of her becoming Black Panther and when she embraced it? What did you feel about it overall and how it ended up?
No, I agree with Jay 100%. Like it happens as organically as you can do in the time period of which the film lasts. You know, it was one of those things where, you know, you're wondering, oh, like, yeah, is this just going to be a thing where it's like, okay, it's got to be your turn. But like, even though T'Challa had kind of jumped the gun and put the suit on and did things as a Black Panther, in the first one, he still had to take M'Baku down in order to earn the mantle. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, what Shuri had to do to become the Black Panther was much tougher than that, because she's at war not only with what happened with Namor and the colonizers, but also within herself.
Yeah,
because it's like, what kind of protector am I going to be? Am I going to be Killmonger? Am I going to be my brother? Am I going to be some hybrid? Am I going to be something totally different? And to the point of her not even wanting it, at the end, she doesn't even accept the crown.
Right.
She'll still be the Black Panther and be the protector of the nation, but she don't want to rule. She wants to see what else is out there in the world, which is a super exciting prospect, because that role for Black Panther has never really existed in the comics, where he's not like Wakanda bound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's like so many opportunities for that character to show up in so many different places. Like, you know, it makes it a lot more exciting. And then just the notion of M'Baku as the king, you know what I mean, is a great wrinkle too, because I want to see what that kingdom look like. You get the Jabari running loose.
Just a bunch of them just over everybody, just out of nowhere, dog.
They ain't seen before. But yeah, I thought it was, yeah, like I said, just the way they handled it all was just, I thought, absolutely splendid.
Well, let's make another turn. We mentioned it already a little bit, but I'd like to dive in because I have personal connection for myself, seeing the stuff with Namor and his people down in and there in the underwater world of Talocan, and everything that we got there, and all the imagery as you brought up, Jay, and what we saw in the production design, and the him taking her through the journey and all of it, because we know in the comics there's Shuri and Namor do have an occasional, flirtation between each other.
Hey, Namor a thought in the comics, okay? Namor is a thought.
He don't even wear clothes. He wear a little Speedo, and he don't give a damn about modesty. He ain't got a shirt on.
You want to see this print, this fresh out the ocean print? Like,
yeah,
you want
sweat.
it?
Now what?
Now what? You want it? Come and get it.
So, Chris, Tenoch Huerta, how did you feel he did in the role here? You know, this is originally an Asian kind of heritage role from what we've seen in the comics. They changed it to have a Mesoamerican connection, Latin American connection, indigenous connection, and the designs and the look and everything underwater, just having that feeling of the kingdom. I mean, the sun at the top of that pyramid underwater, which was incredible. Him descending into that prehistoric shark mouth throne. All of the imagery here was just stunning to witness. And for me personally, as a Latino, I teared up because this is stuff from my parents. Like, my parents have shown me the paintings. My parents have shown me the artwork. They brought that over from Bolivia, which has a strong Native American influence with the Quechuans and the Aymarus there. So there was a lot of connective tissues for me. What was it like for you to watch it? And Jay, I'll go to you after that. What would you like to experience this kingdom in that way, and this heritage in that way?
I thought it was beautiful and a stroke of genius, because so often, and that's all I was waiting for after the movie. Like, or I mean, even like, because before I saw it, what I thought people were going to be talking about was, oh well, I mean, what, he's just Aquaman, right?
Yeah,
he's just Aquaman. No, he is not no motherfucking Aquaman, and like in no way, shape, or form is he Aquaman, other than he can breathe underwater and out of the water. That's about it. But I mean, and that's even been the thing in the comics. He's Marvel's Aquaman, even though I think he predates Aquaman.
He does 1930s. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know who made the decision, but this is why we always talk about how diversity wins wars. Somebody had the genius. How about we move away from Atlantis?
Yeah.
And that's not the thing. It's not Atlantis. It's not the sunken city. We tie it to like actual historical adjacent, civilization and society, create more representation. And then there's just way more of a connection to it. You know what I mean? Like, just you watch an underwater mer people in Aquaman, you just kind of like, all right, I guess. But like, these movies have always served as kind of cultural linchpins.
Yeah.
It did so much for galvanizing a community and a culture around it the first time, and now it's being able to do it twice and be inclusive of whole other culture and show the similarities. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, we've been colonized just as bad as the rest of the world. You know what I mean? And that's historical. Yeah. I if you read like, Howard Zinn and A People's History of the United States and these things, and learn about what really happened to, the original Mexican settlers and the Native Americans and all that. Right. It's just like, whoo, you know what I mean? The fact that we don't have a stronger cultural connection to one another as members of the African diaspora to these cultures, it's mind blowing. And then the way that was represented here, I just thought was just absolutely beautifully done. And then, from the superficial aspects of it, like just the look of everything. Yeah. And you felt underwater. You saw the murkiness in the camera shots. You saw that the pressure against the bodies and how it kind of looked like they were holding their breath because they're actually underwater. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like in Aquaman, they're just I'm not trying to take a shit on Aquaman, but it's just like they're just walking around kind of normal. And then, they get the air bubble and start talking. Like, it's just like physics still happens. You know what I mean? I don't care if you're super, like there's still like pressure when you go deep into the ocean and your body is affected by it and stuff. And, and then there was a reason why there was light You know what I mean? In Atlantis, you can see everything. It's like, shouldn't it be pitch fucking black down here? Like, why are there lights? But then he's like, look, I brought the sun down here to my people, and it explained it, and it was just a throwaway line.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just thought it was a stroke of genius the way that they modernized Namor for this movie.
And his story, when he tells his story, and then Bog said, when I was born, I was a mutant. I was like, oh!
He said
it.
Like it was no big deal.
I was like, I was like, oh! Like it wasn't, I was different. It was a mutation. He was like, I was a mutant. I was like, the M word is official. Like, he is official here. We know we have mutants because of Miss Marvel, right? And some will even bring up Doctor Strange. But damn it, he was like, I was a mutant while he was still painting on the walls and telling Shuri the story.
Yeah, he just tossed it off like it wasn't a big deal. Like, why has it been making a big deal for 4 phases? I'm just a mutant. What's a big deal? What did you think, Jay, overall about how they presented him in the Underworld Kingdom and the journey we went on? And the connective tissues to what we've seen before and read before, as Chris pointed out, in the history of what numerous civilizations, usually European, white-led civilizations, did to these indigenous people.
To see the story of how once he was, when he was like 5 or 6,
and
the colonizers came and destroyed the city, and then the people started realizing from Tolakan they could, when they came out of water, how they could fight, and then he killed him, and the dude was like, he called me the child with no love, Namor. Yeah. He's like, and I took that as my name. But again, to see that, to hear the story, I am a big fan of ancient civilization art from the Aztec, Incan, and Mayan dynasties. And to have it is like actual art. It is not, this is what we think it looks like. You see the stories told. It was so beautifully done with reverence. Again, I saw a tweet a while ago that said black, and it wasn't, it was a throwaway tweet from somebody of the Latinx descent. He was like, we actually got to thank black people because they didn't have to allow us in their movie with this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
And it's not being, like, what do you mean by that? It's because we knew what Black Panther was for us from the first film. Right. And, we know we're getting the diversity in the variety of heroes, but to take such a rich culture, and again, like Chris said, the commonality of colonizations in this to tell this story, and was like, yo, I'm on the same page. And again, I brought the sun to my people. And then gave a speech. His headdress, I don't think the pictures do justice to understand how beautiful that headdress is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the themes of intersectional racism were certainly all through this thing. The idea of colonization for sure, but the idea like, look, we must band together because this essentially white-led, which we see only white people on that ship. Well, the guards are different, but like certainly Lake Bell and the other actor there, we've seen a number of things, white, Valentina white, Ross white. So you've got those characters there, and Stephen Schiff white. So you got this idea that it's America, which is predominantly a white-led country, coming in to take over and once again colonize or take resources away from a people so that they can, in essence, control the people or have leverage against people because of a future fear. And every time something went wrong, they blamed the Wakandans. It's the black people. They did it. It's the
every time was like, yo, so y'all out every single time. And then again, that was the whole moment. I really can't tell you what it is, but I'm gonna need y'all to stop blaming us. Like, it's, trust me, what's really happening, I promise to God, you might not believe it. Here's the thing about it though, too, in Wakanda, and this is funny to me. You don't really want to tell them because A, you low-key fearful. But B, you keep thinking to yourself, nobody will believe it. With the shit that's been on in the world for the past 10, 15 years, you tell me there's a motherfucker from underwater who came up and he can fly with wings on his ankles and he bad as shit. I believe you instantly. There's no second guessing it.
There's a Hulk somewhere running around in the world with glasses on.
There was a big purple ass
thing you're gonna see this week.
Grimace on steroids came and killed off half the universe.
It's so good. And I would have liked to. I would have liked to have seen like more time with Namora and Atuma, more time with the two, in essence, seconds in command for him. I would have liked a little more of their stories, their history. But again, that's doing essentially Namor's solo film, because that's where you would get more time with him. So I was, that's one of the things that I was sad about, that we didn't get more time, because I really like those two actors playing those characters. I would like to have seen a bit more, because clearly there was a lot of love there. And the thing that came through really powerfully too with Tenoch Huerta's performance was the care he had for his people. You could tell that really radiated out of him. And so that when he makes that turn, it's even more chilling. When he decides to go and attack Wakanda, there is a resolution approach to it, that he is going to do this. So when the switch happens and they're shooting him from below, you're absolutely afraid of what he's going to do, because of the amount of love he's already shown you that he has for his people. The defense of them will be equally as powerful.
When Nakia steals Shuri back and kills the woman, and you look at when he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it, my child." Oh, they did. You like,
Because up to that point, he was very calm.
He was very calm
about the fact that, make no mistake, I'm being as hospitable as I can be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill that little girl though.
Yeah.
And you need to understand where I'm coming from about why I'm going to kill that little girl.
He kept saying it calmly. Listen, I understand how you feel.
Right.
I'm a killer.
Yes.
It's either you let me do it now or do it later.
Right.
But I'm a killer. So you want something to eat? What?
Yeah, you're hungry.
Because it's been around for 4 centuries. What's a life? It's to him, it's all, it's all part of the overall bigger picture here. And speaking of the little girl, let's talk about, let's move into that. Jay, your thoughts on the introduction of Riri Williams into the MCU? Ironheart here. Of course, we're going to get the series coming from Disney Plus, but what did you think about how Dominique Thorne did with this role as the first introduction of Riri Williams, but also how the overall story came about with her being introduced, and then her being a part of helping Shuri outsmart Namor, and then also helping overall them fight and protect Wakanda?
This is all I can say first and foremost. I was like, she from the crib. Like, her dorm room was Chicago everything. I was like, be still my beating heart. I was talking to some people today and yesterday, and like, I know I have a friend who's a friend of a very prominent screenwriter in Hollywood.
Okay.
And she was like, I feel like it's a miscast because of how tiny Dominique Thorne. Like, I don't think we like I bring up earlier, I don't think we knew how small she was.
Yeah.
Like, until you know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't want to sound like heightist in a sense, but she's 4'7". But again, she's that Spitfire.
Yes.
She's that Spitfire you need. She's like, yo, I just do this. This is what I do. I just build stuff. And the one thing I have is this car of my dad's. It's like she has a reason for everything she's doing. Yeah. And her as like the kid that's like, I'm good at just doing stuff. I can just do it. I'm good at it. I help people out. She's helping people pass testing, quiz in MIT. Like, she the plug. She's the plug. But the way she is, and then again, learning about the culture of Wakanda, and then being told, yo, somebody trying to kill you. Who trying to kill you? Can't really tell you, but you might want to come with me. Like,
you don't want to know.
You really don't want to know. But and so all those things, and then especially when we got the little glimpse into her garage, the different thing, and the fact she is making an arc reactor was the best thing ever. Did you pay attention to the blueprints on the board?
Yeah,
she's making an arc reactor.
I was like, wait, I've seen this. And it was like, wow, they're really putting they're handing a lantern on that to make sure you understand that's
because again, her Mark I suit, like, we don't know, like, we know as we find out, and we see in the stills and we've seen everything, we know her other suit that she gets, but she gets it taken back. Right. Because Shuri tells her, you can't keep this.
Yeah.
Like, because her suit's vibranium, basically.
Yeah.
You can't keep this. So now it lends itself to saying, what's her story going to be now with her suit? Are we going to get the classic looking Ironheart suit in her series? And because there is science and technology, science and magic, because there's magic she's dealing with now in her series. But the character, now you know who she's dealing with. We know the Riri Williams we have in Dominique Thorne. So what we've seen, and we see how she dealt with everything, and she was starting to feel the loss and the grief and everything again. Yeah. So I think she did a great job. I just really can't wait to see what they do in Ironheart with her.
Yeah, all these characters brought together by trauma, sometimes from the same person, and other times, like in Riri Williams' case, from her father. So yeah, the loss of her father. What did you think, Chris, about how they introduced her and how she was used in the movie, and how Dominique Thorne did as this character?
Again, it's just like connecting the dots, building to the future, but in a completely logical way that fits. You know what I mean? I think initially I was thinking to myself, do we really need Ironheart in this? Like, you know what I mean? Like
There's already a lot
going
going on.
here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And then also, like, you know, my mind always goes to, okay, so they just got to put all the black superheroes together. Like, they just always got to be the team. Like, you can't just, you know what I'm saying? Like, why she can't debut in the Fantastic Four or something like that? Like, it's got to be Wakanda, right? All right, I understand. But
I think they wouldn't do it because they don't want her to be smarter than Reed, which she
for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, but with that being said, like I said, the way they handled it made a lot of sense. It was good. There were a couple things I'm not saying that I was left wanting because I didn't get it, but I would have liked to have seen it. Would have loved to see a cameo of Zendaya and other dude as freshmen walking through MIT. Just real quick. I'd have really liked to see that. That's my own thing. And then I would have liked them to not see her in an Iron Man suit until the final battle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It just seemed like it was a little heavy-handed for me when the police came in and like, she's got an Iron Man suit. And it's just like, oh, just wait. Save it. Save the reveal.
Yeah.
And even though I did appreciate that they shot it almost identically to when we first see his armor in Iron Man 1.
That's right.
And how that whole came together. So I did appreciate that. But it's like, imagine if we would have got that in against, you know, the Namor's army later.
Right.
Rather than a fully like sleek suits or whatever at the end. But again, those are nitpicks. I thought that she provided the tonally comic relief.
Yeah.
You know,
because Shuri couldn't be that comic relief, which she was in the first Black Panther, because they were giving her a much more serious course correction, in essence, storyline to go down. So you had to have someone in there, and they even had, you know, Okoye and Nakia drop a couple of jokes throughout to kind of have some humor in it. But it was really Riri, you're right, who was dropping some of the funnier comments back and forth between them. Yeah, you needed that energy in there to kind of alleviate all the drama and the pain and the grief that everyone.
But also, her Mark 1 helps when you have when the Tolakan citizens, when the two of them kidnap her.
Yeah,
when they basically when they kidnap Shuri, shall I say? You know, when the Mark 1 is out there, they running from the police, and now he come a goddamn Free Willy out the ocean, like, yeah.
That was awesome. I was loving that for sure. Yeah, I'll say this: I liked her being introduced in the film for sure. I enjoyed Dominique's performance, and I want to see more from her. I do feel near the end, though, they strained to like make her a part of it, and I think there could have been maybe a better way to make that a part of it, but you know, in the end, I did still enjoy the fights and everything like that. But I just felt like they were straining to try to make her an essential part of the fights there with the against the Namor's people there. But you know, it's great to have her introduced, and I'm looking forward to seeing the series for sure. Let's cut through Everett and Valentina. Chris, to you. Did you like the way Everett Ross was used in this film? And did you like Julia Louis-Dreyfus coming in as Valentina and this surprising subplot that they were married in the past and he thought he was getting away with all this stuff, but she had been bugging him the whole time and knew that it was the Wakandans? What did you think about how they used that storyline here in a subplot here in this movie?
You know, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Also didn't need it to be for them to spend as much time with it as they did.
Fair enough.
It was just like, all right, okay. This is the studio mandated part of the movie.
It's the Feige essence. Yeah,
they have to build to Thunderbolts and all that. Okay, fine. But like, you really only needed the scene of him in the car with her. Yeah, with Contessa. That's really the only scene her back. You needed. Oh, I know what's going on. I'm not trying to give it away. She's listening, but not listening. There's the tension there. You could have got that scene and then him getting arrested. It would have served the exact same purpose. Because, I mean, if you don't watch the Disney Plus shows, first of all, you don't even know who Julia Louise Dreyfus is.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she just kind of shows up, and if you've been watching, you're like, oh, great. You know, my sister next to me who hasn't watched any of the Disney Plus stuff was like, the chick from Seinfeld, so what? I'm like, it's a whole... All right,
the chick from Seinfeld, it's a thing. Trust me, it's a thing.
Well, I'll explain after. I just too much to explain. So, you know, there was that aspect of it. So to spend that much time with a character who hasn't been in any of the movies, I thought was a little bit too much. And, you know, I'm a fan of them both, and I'm interested to see where it goes, obviously. I just thought they spent, like I said, too much screen time. They could have cut a good 10, 15 from all of their scenes, really.
You know what? I'll tell you this. I agree with you, Chris, because I was reading Owen Gleiberman's review of Wakanda Forever after the next day after I went to see it earlier this week. And he said, like, oh, the film was a bit too long, which a lot of people are saying, but they could have cut the Tulukan flashback or the beginning, Namor story, basically. They could have cut that whole scene. And I'm like, no, son. Mm-hmm. No, son. You cut the Everett Valentina stuff.
Yeah, you don't need
That's
that.
What you cut. White critic, you cut that. You don't cut the introduction and the a journey through the history and story of these indigenous people underwater. You don't cut that. That's the stupidest suggestion. So, yeah, I felt the same way, Chris. What did you think, Jay, about how Everett and Valentina were used? Do you agree that it was too much or that it could have been cut, or did you like the way it was done?
It was a little bit too much. I will agree with that. And that's because it didn't set up anything going forward with the Thunderbolts.
Not overtly, you're right.
Not overtly.
Just set up their connection. Yeah,
just set up their connection. Like, if we'd have seen, like, I get, and like you said, this is the studio mandated thing, right? Because it was like the first movie, you were allowed to have your first movie be your own self-contained. Which Black Panther, if you rewatch it, it is a self-contained movie.
Yeah.
The only time it really don't connect to the MCU until we got to see Bucky at the end in the post-credit scene. Yeah. That is it. Like, yeah, you talk about what happened in Civil War, but it's like, yeah, your daddy died. But it's a self-contained movie. Yeah. This had to, and I get it, and I understand. You're not going to allow, you can't keep having, no matter whether it be Black Panther, Blade, whatever, you can't keep having these movies that are a part of it just be their own standalone thing. Yeah. They have to play into the larger picture. Everett Ross is going to be Everett Ross until you have somebody shoot him in the head like Killmonger did his girl in first one, which I still think was the most diabolical shit ever. Like, she was cute. Why you shoot the cute one? You do that, but again, to have Contessa Valentina, okay, we know you're gritty. You'll do what you need to do to find out whatever it is you want to find out. Okay, we got it, but we didn't need all that. Okay, y'all was married, cool. All right, I still don't need this much time with y'all. I don't care. Are y'all finna have hot, passionate sex with Black people walking in? No? Okay, then I don't need to see it.
All right. Well, and I'll swing back to you, Jay, on this one. What did you think about because I've seen some people, I've talked to some people who've complained about the death of Queen Ramonda and how it was yet another trauma that a woman of color had to experience. Had another trauma to motivate her to finally embrace moving forward. Did you like the way they made that happen, or did you not like that they killed her?
I have several thoughts on that. Number one, please. Angela Bassett is tired of probably doing this. Look,
you're not going to let me wear the outfit. Get me out of this franchise.
She's in 911 doing her own life. She good.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Also, what are you going to do? Keep Queen Ramonda in for every movie?
Yeah, the Queen Mother just hanging.
The Queen Mother, and she is old. They're showing you she's older.
Yeah, right. The white hair. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I understand. Like, oh, why? I hate when people try to go. It's like, so we got to have Black women trauma. No, again. You needed that element to push Shuri.
Yeah.
You needed to push her. And again, whether it's a father, a sibling, a child, there is always something in a movie that will finally push the hero to be the hero. She was not going to do this until Namor came in. Bitch, I'll blow this whole thing up. Threw a vibranium spear at the glass, and Ramonda was trying to stand up, and he was like, All right, bitch, I'll be right back.
They for real thought he gave up.
They thought he gave up. He was like, excuse me one second. The man went back and got the water grenades and was like, take it. Oh, I was like, yo. But that pain that we all felt.
Yeah.
I need people to stop going, oh man, it's got to be black trauma. Look, I understand as a black man that we have seen a lot of traumatic events in films. Yeah. I understand that, and I understand that we are dealing with the real life loss of Chadwick Boseman. But again, like Chris has said, life goes on in these stories. Yeah. So things have to happen. More people are still going to die in life. The world moves and people are going to die. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but damn it, did they need to kill her? Yes. Because Shuri would have never gone at Namor. She would have never gone at him.
Yeah, as someone who lost a parent, I lost my father in 2000. It grows you up. It really does. I know it's a cliche, but it's true.
I lost both my mom and my dad. Yes, it grows you up completely.
Once that support system is gone, you kind of really have to. And yes, they're always with you, but physically not there to have the conversation, to have the back and forth, to guide you through certain moments. You kind of have to put on your big boy pants or big girl pants and figure it out. So I agree with you, Jay. It was the final push she needed to once and for all embrace this. And when she did, she went in full bore. Like she understood, okay, I'm doing this. I'm going to create this and blah, blah, blah. The technology and my ability to use the technology that let me down to save my brother is now going to help me save my kingdom and save my people from this threat. So, she embraces it because of the loss of her mother. She's embracing the old ways and the new ways, which is what her mother wanted her to do. And a lot of people do that when their parents die. They embrace this thing that they resisted, they didn't want, because they realize now how important it actually is. So I like that it had real world connection that way. Yeah.
My mom passed in 2007. I was working as a cook, and I remember I was working as a line cook at the University of Chicago. Right. And I remember getting a call from my brother, and I rushed to my mom's house. My mom had already been gone and was still on the couch. And then I had that reaction of trying to get to my mom while the paramedics and everybody are there. Right. So I know that feeling. Yep. You know that feeling. You've seen that. Even if you haven't lost a parent, you've seen someone go through that. Yep. Not even just losing a parent. Chris is from the streets like I am. We've seen people lose people and watch people cry out and reach out. You know what I'm saying? So you see that. And so you can try to say it's black trauma, blah, 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 blah. And I don't mean to use it as in, just throwing
you're not trying to be dismissive of it. You're
trying to be dismissive.
Many people say it. Yeah.
But this is a part of life. Yeah. Again, this entire phase, this multiverse saga has been grief, has been how we all deal with grief. Yeah. Sam has to deal with the grief of being a black man chosen to be Captain America, knowing white people don't want it. Yeah. It's all these different things.
Yeah. Chris, what are your thoughts on Ramonda's passing? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it worked overall for the plot? What did you think?
Everything you guys said and more, plus it gave us stakes.
Yeah.
On a gravitas to the stakes that we hadn't had prior to that. Namor was talking big shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm going to literally rain because of water. Get it? I'm gonna rain hell on his kingdom if y'all keep fluctuating.
You get it? Water.
But when you see side characters and foot soldiers die, you don't have that connection to it. Right. When he threw that damn spear and then the explosion went off, because you still don't even believe it while it's happening. You're like, oh, she's not dead. She can't be like dead, right? And it's like, no, she's dead. Like, she's gone. Like he killed her. Yeah. He intended to kill her, and he did it. You know what I'm saying? But handled in such a way to where it's like, it's not a villainous act. Right. It's like, no, I've been completely provoked, and I'm the king, and I ain't even bring my army to handle this. I came and dealt with it personally. You know what I'm saying? Right. You had to get the stakes of, no, people's lives are really in the balance here, and not just, expendable characters.
And I warned you.
Had to have that. Like that
sure.
was what was missing from Thor: Love and Thunder. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's Gore the God Butcher. He kills one god by accident, sort of.
Right.
And then that's it. You don't see him kill anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, how do you create the gravitas of having to deal with that villain? When this, it was just like, yo, this okay. He ain't fucking playing. He is not playing, y'all. It's been yuck and nice dresses and gifts and all this up to this point. He means what he say, and we better do something because he coming back. He said, bury your dead.
Yeah.
Clock is ticking. I'll be back.
He's probably defeated a number of civilizations over the 4 or 5 centuries he's been around. So he understands, like, there's no rush. The inevitable is going to happen.
I can flood the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I can flood the world.
Yeah,
and guess what? My people are good.
Yeah.
And you get M'Baku say, bro, trying to take over the surface. Like, I don't think y'all get what this dude is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he made it. Okay, he flooded and he killed the queen. Brother, man, this is not about just Wakanda.
Right.
This is about if we don't do something, dude finna be out of control.
Yeah.
Who's stopping him? Oh yeah, put him in a heater. He was pissed off. He was slicing through the talent when he was realizing he was drying out.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I'll kill you in the air.
And he's still almost won. I mean, he stabbed her through the gut with a spear.
With the spear. And while he was getting when they put this mark in a dryer, it was like they tried to dry him out. He was like, "All right, bitch, I'm gonna get online. I'm gonna get on land, and we're gonna have this fight. But I swear to God, if I get to this ocean, it's done."
That's true. Chris, I'll swing back to you. What are your thoughts on the post-credit scene? We find out in the mid-credit scene, rather.
Hey, Chris, Chris, Ungabani.
What's that mean? I don't know.
Who are you?
Oh, there you go.
That's whatever they say when someone says Ungabani. That's when all of a sudden they say their Wakanda name. That's why, remember in Black Panther, when Killmonger was like, ask me who I am, King.
Yeah.
Ask me. Because he knew if he says it, how he was going to respond.
Right.
Ask me who I am.
Oh, fair point. So what did you think, Chris, about this mid-credit scene? We get the son of T'Challa introduced to T'Challa Jr. in essence. And Shuri gives him a look like she's like, wow, this is even more for me to process now, this whole idea and why she didn't come. So what did you think about this scene here? And did you think it worked as a post-credit scene?
This is what I referenced at the very first question you asked me, and like the detractors, and I was one of them. I was very much one, like, as heartbreaking as the loss of Chadwick is, it's like, you know how long, especially someone like myself, has waited to see T'Challa on the big screen and in live action. And as much as it would be an adjustment to see another actor play him, I don't want that character gone just because, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have the original actor. We don't get that. Batman's not gone forever. I mean, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, but there's going to be other actors who voice Batman. And there's been several actors who played a live action Batman because that character is important to people, and T'Challa is important to me. So, but I knew something was afoot. I knew there were shenanigans because why else were they so adamant? Like, we are not going to recast T'Challa.
Right.
That choice of words to me seemed interesting, where they weren't saying, look, someone else is going to be Black Panther. They never said that. They kept saying, we're not going to recast T'Challa. You know why? Because there is a motherfucking T'Challa in the MCU, and it's Chadwick's son. And I'm like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's perfectly done. Because now, as they bring in this new wave of young Avengers that they're doing with Ant-Man's daughter, with Riri, you know what I'm saying? With probably introducing Iron Lad,
the boys,
imagine.
Wiccan
the-
and
Wiccan and Speed.
Speed,
Yeah, exactly. The twins.
Hulkling rumored to be in the Marvels. Yeah,
You got all these America,
right.
Chavez,
Chavez,
you know what I'm saying? They got all these young Avengers now, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have a young T'Challa to be part of that mix at any given time that you want. We have our MCU live action T'Challa, and it's right. I went ear to ear when I saw it.
And Patriot, we have Patriot as well, right?
Yeah.
May I say this too?
Yeah, please, Jake. Go ahead.
Now we have a T'Challa that for everybody who keep being like, well, what about the story? He's a kid.
Mhm.
We can technically watch this T'Challa go. If the MCU want to go 20 years, we can. No one can have a reason to be like, well, we don't have. No. What's his name? T'Challa.
Yeah.
His name is T'Challa. He's Prince T'Challa.
Right.
The son of King T'Challa, which means if Shuri dies, guess what he becomes?
Yeah, exactly.
King T'Challa.
Yeah.
He's what they knew what they were doing. But again, everybody's like, oh, also when people kept being like, we need to see somebody now, we don't know what the Black Panther had. We didn't know any idea minus Wakanda Forever. We didn't know when the next time we're going to see him or anything else, which is also with this post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, excuse me, is why I think it was the best move for them to cut the post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It made sense because what this is, you want to leave everybody on this emotional note. Because it was like, for those who don't know, there is a post-credit scene, and it's smart they cut it.
Yeah.
It's smart. Now that I'm like, okay, this is smart. Yeah. This is smart.
Yeah, Nate Moore said that. The producer for the film said, we didn't think it was the right thing to do a post-credit scene in this film. We wanted it to stand on its own like Endgame did without a post-credit scene, just because of the trauma and the journey everybody goes on to come to terms with it and to move on. We felt it was too solemn of a movie to add a post-credit scene.
And they set enough up.
Yeah.
What's going on next? You want to see what's going on with Riri, Thunderbolts, where is Shuri going? Right. You know what I mean? Just the whole thing. Everything is
Shuri's going to Atlanta. She's gonna be a KOD in Magic City in the suit, throwing dollars.
You stupid.
special Atlanta episode with Shuri. Jay, your thoughts on Ryan Coogler's direction here in this movie? I mean, let's as we're wrapping up this review, let's give some love to some of the production people here. Your thoughts on Ryan Coogler's direction, and of course with the script with Joe Robert Cole. I mean, this was a lot he was asked to do, and the rumors were there were 3 separate rewrites, and there was an issue with Letitia Wright's accident. There was the death of Chadwick Boseman. There were delays because of the accident and all. There's so much they had to take on. And as a director, how did you feel he did in this movie?
Ryan Coogler had the most undaunting task of any director I think we've ever seen in the past 20 years. Again, you are filming a blockbuster film in the midst of a global pandemic. Your lead has passed. You have to figure out how to rework this story. Your second lead, while trying to do some of the stuff you want her to do, hurts herself.
Yeah.
And we've heard, and like we hear about this all the time. Like these actors, yes, they want to be able to do some things, and they unfortunately hurt themselves. And then some people go, well, that's what the stunt team is for. Yes, it's not taken away from the stunt workers. It's they want to do it. He managed to move all that. Like, yes, there are some parts you can see, okay, this is COVID related. You can see that.
Yeah.
But to, again, take the task of bringing the story together, bringing an underwater kingdom to life, introducing characters, moving all this, all while dealing with this emotionally.
Yeah.
Because every day is a reminder of losing your friend.
Yeah, right. Every day on set. Yeah. Good point.
Is not losing just the star of this movie, losing your friend.
Yeah.
And so this man, for all intents and purposes, deserves the biggest fucking vacation he can have right now.
Stop asking him if he's directing Secret Wars.
Yeah, let that man go. If he want to dip off with his wife for a month to Tulum, let him go. He has worked more than earned it.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
He's more than earned it.
What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on Ryan Coogler's direction here in Wakanda Forever?
100% agree. I mean, he publicly say that he almost quit Hollywood after.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Like he was done. He was like, I don't even want to do this no more. You know what I mean? Now he wrote a script. He was like happy with it, and you know, like you said, yeah, his good friend, something that his collaborator, his partner, that they built this together. You know what I mean? He gone now.
Yeah.
And I got to do it by myself. And I have all these expectations from the first film. And I have all these obligations I got to fulfill because it's connected to this big, crazy thing that is bigger than me. I mean, how many of us would have crumbled under that kind of pressure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yet, like I said, this movie bookended phase 4 just majestically.
Right.
Like I said, it just brought everything back to the way it needed to be tonally, you know, as far as how serious they took the material, the emotional catharsis of dealing with said loss.
Good point.
And, you know, still having fun in the midst of it all and getting some laughs off. And the action was good and badass moments and the effect. I mean,
yeah,
dude, like I said, there might, if you got to be super nitpicky about it, we done already talked about some of the pacing issues that existed here, and maybe some, you know, a bit of extra of certain characters that maybe didn't need to be have their scene time and all that. But you know, a lot of that is editing, not necessarily the direction. But other than that, I just like top to bottom, it's a win, and he deserves to be rewarded for it.
Yeah. And also going back to you, Chris, the score, Ludwig Göransson and Ruthie Carter's costumes. I mean, how essential were they in conveying the epicness that I believe, I said this in my review, that I felt like in my non-spoiler review, that Ryan Coogler was going for an epic, like old school epic. And I felt like the music and the costumes and the pacing and the framing of the shots, along with the cinematographer, certainly conveyed that. What did you think about the score and the costumes here?
Jay can attest. The aesthetic of Wakanda has become a superhero for the Black community in and of itself. It ain't even about T'Challa and Shuri and anybody else. It's the clothes, the hand signal, the way the Umbambe, and everything else has become a whole ass thing for us. So, you know, we watch it closely. Like, there wasn't no way that I was going to be in the mushroom suit like Jay was. I had to be in full, marshmallow suit, my bad. But, you know, it's beautiful. It was dope. I ain't nothing. But I had to go full priestly regalia, you know what I mean, in mine, because I had to represent how important that aesthetic is to me. You know what I mean?
But we saw the white in the funeral. We see and the people in Wakanda, not even just the and the regular people of Wakanda hanging around, which we actually got to see the Wakanda flea market and everything, like people out in the street just chilling.
Yeah. It was hustlers out there, people smoking cigs, you know what I mean? I was
shooting dice in Wakanda.
I appreciate that.
They were shooting dice in Wakanda like a 7-4.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy to see.
What do you think, Jay, of the music here and the costume designs from Ruthie Carter?
There's a reason Ludwig Göransson won the Oscar for the first one and was brought back to rescore this. Yeah. There's a reason. The man knows what he's doing. The man understands the way we've got the same feel of the chop. The first time when the Dora come out the dark. When the Dora come out the dark and just like the door opens, when dude was like, open the door, and Caleb was like, okay, here you go. And you just see them and just the music, everything works around. The costumes again speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Everything has a purpose the way it's done. It's not just, put them in this and put them in that. Everything is done for that reason. I will always give the most respect and props to Ruthie Carter, having had her dress me before.
Wow.
Having had her dress me before when I was in Chirac, to watch her, how her mind works. I know what the theme is. I know what I want to go for. I know what level I want to go there, how I want to present this. Again, the funeral garbs.
Yeah.
It was all just beautiful. Like, these things are just these are small parts of a grand picture.
Yeah. I agree. I think the score was so good. As I said, it evoking that epic feel. When Namor makes the turn and the big notes are hit, that was like, oh my God. Like it rattled my rib cage when they make that turn and like you're just like, oh, shit's about to go down. God damn it. And then in the sweeter moments, in the more tender moments, in the deepening of the relationships that are happening here, you know, with the guilt that Okoye feels when she's freaking out because she's lost Shuri, the devastation and the pain, seeing yet another member of the royal family slip through her fingers. Do you know what I'm saying? The way they hit those music cues to make you feel her angst and anguish in that whole thing. It just works so well. And Ramunda, when she's powerful at the beginning, and then of course when she passes away at the end, the notes that are there are just so moving and incredible. And again, the costumes just top to bottom, how she really embraced the Mesoamerican culture and brought it to life and celebrated it like the way she did with the costumes in Black Panther for Wakanda. It was so joyous for me to see all the different looks. I mean, you could pause if you were to take it home and pause it frame by frame and see all the different looks. You got them as we're passing by. There's so much influence to represent the indigenous cultures throughout all those different looks in whether it's the woman who was killed, trying to protect or trying to take care or look over Shuri and Riri, all the way to Namor. There's so many different variations in the look and the status of it all that I thought was just beautiful and gorgeous. So just
even Atumna as the warrior that he is, the look, his headdress, even and Namora's as well, like those little bitty things, those little bitty details. And again, like I said, I'm a fan of those cultures. You know what I'm saying? So to watch the design with the turquoise and then to realize it's not turquoise, it's vibranium. What?
Good point. All right, let's wrap it up there. Jay, any final words? And I ask you, I'm Latino, you're two black men. I ask you as black men, thoughts on this film, from your own cultural approach, but also from your approach as reviewers of films and critics of films.
Chris just said it. Wakanda is part of the regular black culture now. It's part of our diaspora now. It's part of our story. Like, yo, Wakanda. Now, don't get me wrong. After probably like 2.5 months, if you walk up to me going Wakanda forever, I'm gonna slap shit out you.
I'm sure Chadwick wanted to do that too. I'm sure.
Y'all remember Chadwick at the All-Star game when he was like, "Yeah, I guess, man, it was gonna be." He was like, "Oh, I didn't do 6 other movies after this. Can I do something else?" Like, but it's so ingrained in our culture. And again, for a fictional nation, but still to show us what our culture consists of. The stories of we are kings and queens. We are not always these savages. We're not these savages in what history has tried to make us out to be in many instances.
What the media has portrayed us,
and it's portrayed us as, to show us we have a beautiful, rich culture that even through loss, we still come together to elevate and move forward. And to see that consistently, again, in Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like this is in our nation. When Ramona goes to the UN, please stop telling me they don't care about black men. They had 4 black dudes with dreads guarding the queen at the UN. Y'all happy now? Like, so it's just also, again, to put black women on a pedestal.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't belittle black men to elevate black women at all. And I don't know why. I'm tired of hearing that. Oh, they're trying to get rid of us. How?
Yeah.
This movie has always had, again, if you look at Black Panther 1, minus Killmonger and T'Challa, the movie predicates itself on Okoye, Nakia, Shuri, Ramonda, the Dora, okay? What are y'all talking about? And even Killmonger's girlfriend, who helps to set up him getting the mask before he eventually murders her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, fair. Chris, your thoughts?
I saw a film about an indigenous person who, through lots of trauma, who dealt to him by colonizers, rose up and fought with extreme prejudice and without the fear of killing to avenge his people. But enough about whack-ass Black Adam. Who cares about that?
Oh my.
This movie I'm gonna just build on.
There it is.
I'm gonna build on what Jay said in this whole notion of it's not about. They try to downplay black men to raise up black women. The whole movie is about a nation reeling from the death of a black man.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you reconcile that and say that we're not important in that mix? That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just it's a beautiful thing. It's a shameful thing because it's like you speak, like you said, speaking from my cultural experience, it shouldn't take a fictional representation of a black utopia for us to find some unity. You know, we talk about why, you know, I like, not to make it too serious, but like one of the big things I hear about this whole Kanye situation is, you know, black people being like, well, they didn't care about when he said all lives matter and all these things. And then as soon as he starts talking about Jewish people, he gets canceled. No. We didn't care. We let him get away with it. We supported him. We kept buying Yeezys. We kept playing his music. We never canceled him. So how can we expect other people to cancel him?
Fair. That's
Wakanda shows us a situation where we always had our backs. Yeah. And I think that's why it's become so profound to us as a people. And, you know, like I said, it's a shame it takes a fictional account to do it. But if it aids in that process and it continues to aid in that process, you know, I'm gonna keep giving it these glowing reviews that I'm giving it.
Yeah, and this is something that I had a battle with my brother Jeff Snyder on the hot mic earlier this week, and he was saying, why do I need to have a black person or a person of color review this movie? And I say it's important because, and he's like, I don't want to hear about, you know, I just want him to review the movie. I don't hear about the colonization or anything, but that's important because these movies are made, and Ryan Coogler is a very socially conscious person. And so his intention is for people to see these movies and take lessons away from them, take things that are going to make them think differently about both of these communities, the black and brown communities. That's what he's showing you. And that's what he wants you to get and understand. I think this film accomplishes that. Yes. Does it feel overlong at times? Does it strain a little bit under the weight of the expectations? Do they keep stacking stuff on top of him, of his movie, because he's got to connect it up to these other things in the MCU because it's an overall universe movie, not a standalone? Yes. But overall, I think he lands the plane beautifully. I think he absolutely delivers an effective movie about loss and acceptance of that loss and how to move on from that loss and the lessons you have to take after you go through that loss. And, you know, there's that line where they tell Shuri, you're trying to avoid it, run away from it, the only way out is through it. You've got to go through it. And that's the truth. You have to go through this pain to come out the other side and learn the lessons. And so sometimes I think people are hesitant to see themselves portrayed in a certain way that's negative. But the truth is you have to go through that pain to come out the other side and understand why. And I think that's so important to see in this film and what he's trying to say. And, you know, the black and brown people fighting each other at the end. Why is it happening? Because white people want to come in and take something they have. That's important to get the subtext of that and understand why it's happening. So I think the film does a really effective job of teaching that and showing you that and reinforcing that point throughout. So shout out to Ryan Coogler and everybody involved in the production for creating a fantastic film here in Wakanda Forever. And of course, as we wrap up this review, I want to thank both of these two gentlemen for joining me, taking time out to record this with me. And hopefully you all enjoyed it who watched it. And thank you, Jay. Thank you, Chris. Jay, where can they find you and everything that's going on, brother?
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything. I'm at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. My review, I have to do it. I didn't get a chance to do it today because yesterday I've been so super busy because a lot of stuff is happening in a great way. So I've been super busy. But the Mad Titan podcast, I drop that every Monday, everywhere you get your podcast from, where I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. It is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. Come on in that convo. Stand up wise, if you are in San Diego, January 11th, I will be headlining one night only the Mic Drop Comedy Club in San Diego. Yes, that's why I'm saying it on here for you, John.
I will be there.
Yes, I will be headlining one night only. So please get your tickets. Mic Drop. I will put the link up in my YouTube and everything. So get tickets for that.
Okay, send it to me. I'll put it in the description of the video.
All right.
Chris Burns, another fantastic show with you, brother. Please let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Chris_please on all the social media things. Keep continuing to let Jay know that it's wash time at every turn on his social medias. And me and Jay got a project cooking. I to keep teasing it on the wrestling pod, but
we're working on something. We're working on something.
Is on its way to the internet.
There you go. We'll keep watch on that. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. And please subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. You know, I'm trying to create content that people enjoy, bringing on people like this who are incredibly intelligent and incisive in breaking things down. And hopefully it's enjoyable for you all to watch. So please subscribe down below, hit that bell button so you see when we're dropping all the content we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new review or spoiler review here from the Outlaw Nation. Peace.